I don't know what keeps happening.
Jamie, just let me know when you want to get started. I guess when I see the assembly member, we'll know we'll get started. How many? I think I only see, what, 3 people?
So Corliss, the assembly member is about to speak in her session. So we just want to begin and then she will join later, if that's okay. I think you're muted.
So you just want to get started now?
Yes, please.
Okay. I think there's only 3 people. Okay.
We're gonna record and post to Facebook so we can share.
So,
We can
okay.
share later on.
Great. Okay. Good day and welcome. Thank you for lending us your ear. My name is Corliss Evans, and with me is my partner, Michael Sharp, and we are the outreach liaisons from the New York City Department of Finance. Today's conversation will be about the rent freeze program for residents who live in the 5 boroughs of our wonderful city. The program may sound familiar to some of you, and this is a big program, but it has a silent personality. And I just would like to share an experience I had recently, and it was on a Zoom. It wasn't related to the Department of Finance, and it wasn't related to the rent freeze program. And a group of older women were talking about the rent freeze program and how they felt the rent freeze program did nothing for them. So of course, I jumped into outreach mode because we know the rent freeze program does something for you. So let's talk about how this program works. So if a person takes advantage of the program, as soon as they're eligible, they can start saving money. They can start saving some money, but the savings will grow over time. So for example, if you apply for the benefit and begin receiving it when you're eligible at the age of 62, and just let's say at that time, your rent is $900. Now let's fast forward to about 18 years. You're still receiving the benefit, you're still in your apartment, and you're still paying this $900, while other units in your building may be renting for $3,500, $4,500. So there is a savings. So it may be hard to believe, but there are a lot of people who don't take advantage of this program, and for different reasons, because they don't think it serves a purpose and they don't know about the program. But after today, it's our hope that whoever's eligible will enroll. And if you're not eligible, you will share this information with other people. So the rent freeze program serves 2 populations, as senior citizens and people with disabilities. And this program was created specifically for you, so you can remain in the apartment that you call home. And there's 2 components of this program. So we have the senior citizens rent freeze increase exemption, which we call SCREE, and the disability rent freeze exemption known as DREE. So we'll be using the website to do this presentation today. So I'm going to share my screen. And as you see, I'm here. You can see it's the New York City Department of Finance. So we're on the home page, our landing page. Sorry. I would just like to bring your attention to this purple banner here, the Department of Finance updates and self-service options. It's a lot of information here, and we keep it updated. It's not outdated, it's very updated. And as you can see, it was last updated on February 22nd. So we have service changes, online payment and filing options, frequently asked questions, and we even have COVID information. And there's a lot of information here as well. Anything you might want to know about COVID, you may find it here. In addition to that, we have online resources and applications, and the links are located here, as you can see. So they have the forms, so you can come here and find out COVID information as well. So since we're talking rent freeze, let's go up to the updates and see what they have to say here. So these are updates. So rent freeze and exemptions programs. Okay, so this is a new feature here. The Department of Finance is now offering virtual appointments, and you can schedule it, and you have to schedule it online. So you would click here. So this is a recent update associated with what we're talking about today, the rent freeze program. So you can find our updates as I scroll down, and you saw all the other options that's available. So now we're just going to go into the rent freeze program. Like I said, we'll be using our website so that you can become familiar with it, and you can navigate through it if you have any questions. So you can say, oh, what did they say about that? But just come here and you can see it for yourself. So to get to it, we're going to start with ways to save. And this is an easy option to remember, because just think about money, think about savings. And we're going to go into program. And then you scroll down a little. And then you have the rent freeze. And we're going to click on this. So we're going to jump right into it. So we have the option here. It says, am I eligible? So we have a tool here. Use this to see if you qualify. So it's just like a pre-tester. So we'll just go through it quickly. So for the purpose of this presentation, we're just going to be screen, not disabled. Of course, we're going to meet all the qualifications. So it's simple, just some yes and no's. Are you the tenant listed on the lease, which is a qualification? You have to be the tenant listed on the lease. So you're going to click yes, and then you're going to next. Are you 62 years or older? And for the screen, that's the age you need to be. So we're going to say yes. Are you disabled and receiving federal disability assistance? I'm going to say no, because we're just going to do a basic screen application. And then it's next. Is your household income $50,000 or less per year? And this is the income guideline. And so you're going to say yes. And then you're going to hit next. Do you live in a rent regulated apartment, rent stabilized, rent controlled, Mitchell-Lama, or HDFC? So those are the apartment types you need to live in to qualify for this program. So you're going to say yes. And then you're going to hit next. Do you spend more than 1/3 of your monthly income on rent? And you're going to say yes. And then we're going to calculate. And it says, congratulations, it looks like you may qualify. So we're off to a good start. So now, are we eligible? So we have the income requirements. So the combined income has to be the $50,000 or less, as we showed you on the tool. You have to spend more than 1/3 of your monthly income on rent. And you have to report all income in the household. So that's everybody in the house. And if you happen to be renting a room, you don't have to report that person's income, but you have to report the money that they're paying you for the room. So now we're gonna go to what apartment types are not qualified for the rent freeze program. So that's New York City Public Housing, anybody with the Section 8 program, any non-rent regulated apartments, and no apartments that's being sublet, even if it's rent regulated. They are not, they do not qualify for the rent freeze program. So we're gonna go to the next tab over, freezing your rent. So calculating the income. So this is how the New York City Department of Finance calculates the income. So all sources of income are included to calculate income and determine eligibility for both SCREE and DREE. What deductions are allowed in calculations? That's federal, state, and local taxes and Social Security. What deductions are not allowed? That's medical expenses, Medicare premiums, capital or business losses. And now we're going to talk about how you calculate the 1/3. So these are the steps. Just some simple math. So if your annual income is $45,000, you're going to take that number and you're going to multiply that. And then you're going to, multiply that by 12. And then you're going to get 3,750. Then you're going to take that number and divide it by 3. And you're going to get 1,250. And this will be your monthly income. Now, if your rent is greater than this, you qualify. If it's less than this, you don't. So you can see right here. So things that's not covered in the program. Sorry. Okay, so for the rent stabilized things that's covered in the program, I'm sorry. For the rent stabilized apartments, it's your renewal, your lease renewal, your major capital improvements, and increases that the landlord determines that's needed. For the rent control apartments, it's the maximum collectible income and the fuel cost adjustments. And for the rent regulated hotel units, as the rent demand renewal increases or leases, and the major capital improvements as well. And then we have here the Mitchell-Lama, the Mitchell-Lamas, the HFDCs, and other apartment types. It's the increases is based on rent and carrying charges. So that's the documentation you need for that renewal. But for Mitchell-Lama and HFDCs, those applications go through HPD. Charges not covered. So the charge is not covered. It's sort of like the bells and whistles, the doormen, the maids, the janitors, the air conditioning, that kind of stuff. So that's pretty easy. So now we're just going to move over to how to apply. And this is for first-time applicants. And it's going to tell you what you need for proof of age. So this is the documentation needed for proof of age. So the basic things: driver's license, birth certificate, and proof of income. Pretty basic: federal and state income taxes, 1099s, Social Security letters. So it gives you all your options here: pensions, And then the income for DRE is a little different because for DRE, this is the disabled program. You have to prove your disability, and it has to be a government disability that you're receiving a government payment for. So you need to submit your federal supplemental security income. So it's the disability payment that you're getting monthly as your what you live off of. So that's what you need for the DRE program. So it's a disability that's government recognized, and you're getting your monthly income, your annual income from that source. It cannot be from your doctor who say, oh, you have, let's say, rheumatoid arthritis and all your joints and you can't move. If the federal government has not recognized that as a disability, you're not receiving Social Security disability or Social Security supplemental, you cannot apply, and you do not qualify for the DRE program. So now we're just going to go through how do you complete the application, for example, the online application. So for this presentation, we're just going to do a basic screen. And see, this is for how to apply if you're a new applicant. It gives you information here. And you can contact 311. And we have a dedicated Department of Finance team available from 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday that you can call and get questions answered. And then once again, you have the virtual appointments that you can schedule. So let's just look at the renewal, the initial application for first-time applicants. So how to apply. So what I really like about our application, not because I'm an employee, but I like it because we've all gone online and we've turned our heads trying to figure out what's going on here and spinning around. So once again, what we just discussed, who can apply? So it reminds you you have to be 62 years old or older. It tells you about the apartment type, rent control, rent regulated, rent stabilized apartments. Tells you about the combined income cannot exceed the $50,000, and you cannot spend more than 1/3 of your income on rent. So it reminds you everything right here. And here, how to apply, mail the completed application along with supporting documentations. And here is the address. And again, tells you where you can get help if you need it. And I'm going to go through the application because a lot of people don't complete the application and they leave information out. So we just want to go through it so you're just familiar with what needs to be completed. So it's basic information, name, date of birth, social security number, address, apartment number, city and state, how many rooms, phone number, and we are encouraging everyone to put an email address since everything is virtual. So it's important. This is a good way for us to contact you. And if you have a spouse, you apply to, so you would check yes or no if this is applicable to you. And then we're going to go to the source of income. Again, you just check off what's applicable to you. If it's Social Security, if it's pension, you check it off. Very important section here. Total income for last year. You might not know what it is, but we ask that you put your best guesstimate. Failing to put a number here will stop the application process, which means that processing has to stop. They're gonna have to send you a letter. You're gonna have to receive it. You're gonna have to gather the documents. You have to get it back. So that's a lot of time wasted for just simply not putting this number in. The deductions, you really don't have to worry about this. because the Department of Finance processing team is going to go through your income documents. So they're going to figure this out. So we just ask that you put your best guesstimate here, just your best guesstimate. So you don't have to worry about what line I should be adding, what line I should be subtracting, just your best guesstimate. And then we have this section 2 is the tenant representative information. So this section is like the buddy system. So you can assign somebody here to get information the same time you get the information. I know a lot of times at the elected officials office, community-based organizations, they have caseworkers that fill this out as the point of contact. But this can also apply to any family member, your daughter, your son, your aunt, your uncle, whoever you want to be like your buddy to remind you, hey, did you get this document? Did you submit this document? This section here is for that person, and they'll get everything that you get via mail as well. If you have other household members, you have to put their information in. Again, their income, the source of income, and their best guesstimate, your best guesstimate on the annual income. And then if there's another person. And it's a pretty clean, straightforward application. It's not too many pages. So we're almost done. Then we have section 4 about what kind of lease do you have? Is the rent stabilized? Is it a 1 or a 2 year? Is this your first lease? You would check that. Is a rent control, you check that. Any other program type, you would check, of apartment type, you would check there. Another very important section that people often forget to do is to print, sign, and date. Once again, failure to print, sign, and date will stop the application process, and then the Department of Finance is going to have to send you a letter through the United States Postal System, and we know how that's going. They're running behind, so we're trying to avoid any of that. So print, sign, and date. And then the last page is just a review of everything we talked about. Remind you, the proof of age, do you meet the proof of age documentation? What you can submit. Proof of income, what can you submit? And you don't have to bring this, you don't have to send this application. You do not have to send this page with your application. This is just your reference page. And your proof of rent. So you have to submit a current lease for rent stabilized. You have to submit a current lease and prior lease. It has to be signed by you and the landlord. If the lease is not signed by the landlord, the application process will be put on hold. And then for the rent controlled and rent regulated, it has its sets of rules. And then ask you if you have a power of attorney, you submit to know that that was signed. You could sign on with the signature that was related to the signature at the top. And then that's the end of the application. Sorry, I hit something wrong. Just bear with me. Then we have, if you're renewing the benefit, There's the renewal application here as well. Renewing the application. So that application is also available. Then we have the guide, the rent freeze guide. It's a paper guide. If you like, you can print it, but it talks about everything that we just discussed. You open it up, the rent freeze guide. It has the table of content, so you can go directly to the page that you're interested in, eligible apartments, income eligibility. So that is the guide. And then we have the New York City Tenant Access Portal. And this is pretty new. Had this about a year. And this is the Tenant Access Portal that you can sign up for, and you can submit your initial application online. And you can also review your benefit. So for this, you would have to register. So I'll just show you what the registration looks like. Sorry, computer's moving slow, but it's loading. So you would create a password. You could use one of these options and you could create an account, and then you have access to the portal where you can review your benefit, submit applications, and we have guides that show you how to do that as well. So here are the guides. Here's the tenant user guide, the rep guide. So everybody has a guide. So let me just show you what the guide looks like. Of course, the table of contents, and it's a booklet. You can print it or you can look at it online. It shows you the login that I just showed you. I want to come down here and show you what you see once you come on. Okay, so once you're registered, it's successful, you have your approval, you could see everything about your benefit. It has your information on the top, your renter's information, your application date, when your benefit expires, it's all in here. And then this tells you about the applicant, the tenant rep. It tells you about your the frozen rent amount. It tells you the deduction that the landlord's getting. So that's the TAP program. And this is the booklet that gives you information on that. And then we have how to get help if you want to reach out to someone because you had a little confusion. So we have the visiting centers, but right now we're not encouraging anyone to go to a center because of COVID. Of course, we have the virtual appointments. You can call 311, like I said earlier. We have a dedicated customer service team there. You call 311 and they'll connect you. We have the relay center. And here we have the customer service portal. If you have any questions, this is for SCREE, but this is for DRE. SCREE also has one. Once again, you would have to create an account. Open it up, you create your account. You can submit your question. Of course, it's via email, and then somebody will get back to you with a response. And you can create your account by using one of these. You can use one of these. And then you have the Exemptions person that can help you if you have any problems with your application. And then once again, for screen inquiries, you can submit your question here, and they also have the screen ombuds person. Okay. Then I would like to show you our outreach. And this, if you want to come to another event, if you want to share this information with somebody, you could always come to our outreach tab, and it'll show you what's going on with us. And as you can see today, we have Assemblymember Rebecca C. right here. So she was on the website, and you could have very easily joined. You just click, you can look at the flyer, you can click on it, and you would have came right into the event. So this is our outreach page. So that's pretty much it for the rent freeze program. So we can open up the floor to questions. I don't know, Michael, if there's any questions in the chat.
I do see some. Hold on a moment. Here's one that says, what happens if you're unemployed? How do you get the unemployment 1099 form?
The unemployment. Do you know the answer to that one, Mike?
Well, it's not a finance question. That's a question regarding the, I guess, the unemployment benefit. They usually do send you one, I would suppose. Maybe someone from the staff knows in particular how you would go about getting that.
Yeah, I linked to the DOL website where they can find the 1099 form.
All right, but there you go. When all else fails, just read the chat, right? If there is a retirement savings account, is there a retirement savings account dollar limit one can have?
There is a limit. I don't know what it is. It just cannot exceed the 50,000 a year. So what I'll say to that is this: if you do exceed that amount for a particular year, you just won't have the benefit. But once the income comes down, you can reapply.
And if it's a savings you're talking about, they're not looking at, you might say, your assets. It's income they're looking at. So a person can have a bank account, but they'll only look at the monies that savings produce, the earnings that it produces. We're looking at income, not assets. It says, thank you for your question. Feel free to leave questions. Oh, yeah. Let's see if there is anything else here. Are there any straightforward ways to find rent stabilized apartments? I've looked online at sites like StreetEasy and even New York City government pages, but it's very difficult to find listings.
Yes, it is. Well, I will say, like you said, Mike, that's not a Department of Finance question. And those units, those apartments are really hard to find. So only thing I can suggest is that you continue looking, and maybe the Assembly member's office have any suggestions.
I can just add that the Department of Community Renewal, it's actually on the website. There is a connection to them in the tools section, but they have a listing. You can find out if your apartment is rent stabilized, or some buildings that maybe have them. But finding a rent stabilized apartment is not easy. But what's the DHCR? They can tell you if you perhaps are in a rent stabilized building, or where some rent stabilized buildings are. but finding an actual vacant one, that is a little more difficult.
Anything else?
You might can try HPD.
Oh, no, no, I was talking about questions.
Oh,
Sorry.
HPD Housing Connect is a way to find what's classed as affordable housing. And so that might be a place to look as well. How long does the rent freeze last? Do folks need to apply every year for freezing their rent?
So the rent stabilized program, so for it renews anytime you renew your lease. So if you have a 1-year lease, it renews annually. If it's a 2-year lease, it's every 2 years. And for rent control, it's every odd year.
And so that, and it said, is there a deadline to apply? Well, that would it goes in accord or in time with your lease, as Paul is mentioning. Anything else? I believe that's all of the questions in the chat.
Okay. Does anyone have a question that they want to raise their hand to be answered? Okay, no. Courtney, is the assembly member ready to speak? Do you know?
She's gonna jump on now, I think.
Okay, great. So the assembly member is going to come in and give a few words. They're the host, so we're going to wait for her to arrive and make some remarks.
So if anyone has their application and they bring it to our office, we can upload it to you. Does that work?
You can send it to me and I can have it uploaded. I can get it uploaded. You can send it directly to me, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And encourage them to bring all the documents at once. The income, the
Right,
ID, to avoid the back and forth.
Mhm.
So is there anything else that maybe somebody want to see from the screen when I was sharing, they want me to go over while we wait for the assembly member?
She's in the waiting room.
So just in case if anyone says, oh, they want to review something, I'll have the screen up. So please, hello, how you doing?
Hi, good.
Nice to see you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank
Great.
you. Well, good afternoon and welcome to all of you who've attended the rent freeze presentation. And thank you to Corliss Evans for joining us to provide information and expertise on SCREE and DREE and to help keep rent stabilized apartments affordable. I'm actually in legislative session. We're passing right now a great nursing home bill that's been debated. I want to invite you to join us for one of our Town Hall Tuesdays at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live. This week on March 19th, or next week, we're having experts on estate planning and important tax benefits for the CARES Act. But again, thank you again, and thanks to Courtney on my staff and the rest of my staff for putting this great event together. And please feel free to always reach out to our office at 212-288-4607 if we can be of assistance. And thank you again, Ms. Evans.
Thank you. Nice to see you. So I just wanted to say that every month our director, Sheila Boyard, have these sessions called For Your Benefit, and she interviews department heads and experts. And she always, this question that she always asks, what is your takeaway for the client, the customer, the applicant? And they basically all say the same thing. So I'm going to share what the takeaways are. 1, complete the application. Complete the entire application. Don't forget to put in the income. Do not forget to sign the application. Submit required documentation. If you're doing a renewal application, do not forget to put your docket number on their renewal if the renewal doesn't have it on there. If you call the Department of Finance for any reason related to your SCREE or DREE application, refer to your docket number, because this is the number that identifies you and your apartment, and we can pull it up and find out exactly what's going on and help you to get your questions answered. So those are the takeaways from the management. So I'm sharing that with you. And thank you very much, Courtney, for having us. And thank the Congress member for having us. And we'll see you in a few weeks at the homeowners presentation. So don't forget to promote, and we'll see you then. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye.
You too.